Hello everyone. Today we will be discussing about some common grammatical errors that we may be using in our day-to-day life, some faulty and unconventional and controversial use of different types of grammatical errors, factual errors. They can be logical, misspelled, typographical errors, and even faulty pronunciation and many other grammatical errors that we had already discussed, and we may be discussing today some new common grammatical errors and even some techniques how can we eradicate those grammatical errors. First we have to identify them, and after identification we need to plan a strategy, and accordingly we should resolve the errors that we may see in our day-to-day life. First error that I may be talking today will be missing comma after introductory element. This is a very common error, and we may have observed that how drastic effect it may create once if we are using a comma after introductory element. A comma should always be used after an introductory word, phrase, or clause. By using a comma, it gives a little pause after an introductory element, and that helps us to avoid a certain type of confusion that may have been created if once we are not using comma. How can we commit this sort of error? Just let's see this picture where you see let's eat grandpa. Now if you are not using comma, that means you are going to eat grandpa. So once if you are using comma, that means let's eat. Now you are suggesting grandpa that both of us let's come on and let's eat. So this sort of confusion can be created once if you are not using comma after an introductory element. This is such important. Another example will clear it out once we will see to it. The incorrect sentence says that in case you haven't noticed, my real name doesn't appear in the article. So the thing is not clear by this incorrect statement. The correct statement is in case you haven't noticed, my real name doesn't appear in the article. So you can see after notice there is a comma. By any chance, if you have not noticed, my name is not at all appearing in the article. So this meaning is coming out once if we are using the comma. Even one more example we may see where the incorrect sentence says that before she had time to think about it, Sharon jumped into the icy pool. Now we are not getting the idea whether which action has taken place prior to which action. So here what will we see? Before she had time to think about it. That means before she could have thought, Sharon jumped into the icy pool. So this was the decision, this was the action on the part of Sharon that was taken prior to thinking about it. So in this way, we may see that what sort of horrible mistakes we may commit once if we are ignoring these types of common errors of not using comma or missing comma after introductory element. The next is mistakes in apostrophe usage. That we may see that once if we are using apostrophe and if we want to show the possession, then you need not to use an apostrophe after possessive pronouns such as my, mine, our, ours, his, hers, it, their, or theirs. So if you are using apostrophe after these possessive pronouns, they are incorrect usage. So we will also observe some examples such as incorrect. My mother's cabin is next to his cabin. So you can see an apostrophe here after his. So this is an incorrect usage of apostrophe after the pronouns, possessive pronouns. We are not going to use apostrophe. So correct sentence is my mother's cabin is next to his cabin. So you can see You can identify. By any chance you are asked to eliminate any sort of errors, then you can attack if you can see that there is a possessive pronoun and by any chance an apostrophe is used after that. In case of its, the apostrophe is generally used to indicate a contraction of it is. But in other sense, you may see it is in this position, it is generally used. So it is means it is a contraction of word it is. So it's a cold day for October. It is wrong because here it gives the sense of it is. So once if it is giving the sense of it is, so in that case you have to use the apostrophe. Once if you are using its and it is giving the sense of it is. Number 3 is no clear antecedent. What do you mean by this? First of all, let's understand what is antecedent, and later on we may see some examples, correct and incorrect both, so that we may identify that how can this sort of error is committed by you where no clear antecedent is visible to you. Antecedent means replaced by another word in the course of a sentence. How? Antecedents are generally replaced by pronouns. In the sentence, when Mary felt unwell, she was rushed and the nearby hospital. Mary is the antecedent to the pronoun she. It has come prior to she. So that's why it is antecedent to she. So understanding the relationship between the two is very much important when we use this sort of usage. How we commit error? Let's see one example where antecedent comes before a pronoun and helps us to understand what the pronoun generally means. It is essential to eliminate this sort of confusion by rearranging the words in some different structure so that we may understand the real sense of or real essence or even real message of the sentence. The dad found the boy and he was happy. The dad was happy when he found the boy. So you can see, although we have used here a comma, the dad found the boy and he was happy. Now here the thing is not at all clear that who is happy, whether the dad is happy, whether he is happy or who is happy. So the dad was happy when he found the boy. So now the things have become more clear because now it is fully explainable statement that dad is happy because once if he has found his boy. So in this way we can see if we are using any antecedent or later on if there is any pronoun that has come after that, then we need to take care whether the arrangement of words are proper or not. If they are not, then we should arrange the word in a proper way. Ending a sentence in a preposition. What are you looking at? You can see at the end if you are using at, on, around or any sort of preposition about, then you may see that what sort of confusion or error you generally come. So this is called tangling preposition in use at the end of the sentence or the phrase, although it is not at all necessary to use the preposition at the end. How do we commit this sort of error? At the end, when we use a preposition, by its nature, it indicates that another word will follow it. In casual conversation, this type of error is not a big deal. Yet, in order to avoid this sort of mistake in writing section, we need to see that whether we have written any preposition at the end, then we should avoid it. We should change the structure so that it can convey the real essence, whatever we wish to deliver. Incorrect sentence says, what reason did he come here for? So at the end, now here the preposition is used. On the other hand, you can see the correct sentence. For what reason did he come here? So this is the another version. And now at the end, the preposition is not there. So there is no chance of error that we may have committed or we may commit in the sentence. So once if we see this sort of error, we should always avoid it by replacing it into another structure. Mixing up possessives and plurals. This is a different type of error that we generally commit. You can see that people often get confused when they add s to the end of the word. And when do you need to use apostrophe, that also you need to keep in mind. And where should you use it? Why should you use it? And when should you use it? All these questions are to be answered, then only you should go for the use of an apostrophe, whether it is singular, whether it is plural, whether it is possessive, or what sort of noun it is. Accordingly, you need to decide that what sort of, whether you are going to use apostrophe or not. In the picture, you can see when we are using apostrophe after the singular noun, then and we want to make it a possessive noun case, then what do? We use it after the word, and you can see men's dogs. That means now it is relating to that particular person. Now it has become the possession of man or possession of dog. On the other hand, we may see that in plural nouns, possessive cases are little bit different, because if in the possessive, the plural, if in the plural noun, the possessive we want to make, if it is becoming plural after putting s, then we need to take care that we will be putting the apostrophe at the end rather than putting it before s. So here in the singular case, we are putting it before s. Here in the plural, we are putting it after s. And in different types of plural, such as women, W-O-M-A-N and W-O-M-E-N, if we are using this, then we will use it that before s we are using the apostrophe. You can see here. So these sort of mistakes we need to avoid once we are using apostrophe in the possessive cases. At that time, we need to take care what are the mistakes that we may commit if we are not careful while using the apostrophe. You can see one incorrect sentence that the dog's dish was full of bones. So you can see the apostrophe is not used after dog, because we are talking about the possession of dog. The dish belongs to dog. So we should use it in that sense only. The dog's dish, that means the dish that belongs to dog. So we will use apostrophe here. On the other hand, that was full of bones. We want to say that it is a plural word. So we need not to use apostrophe after or in between the word letters bones, because it is plural, not a possessive case. So we need to keep in mind while using as apostrophe, whether it is a singular noun possessive, whether it is a plural noun possessive, all these things are to be taken care, and little bit practice also is required once we are using apostrophe in various situations. Then mistakes with well and good. So as we all know, these both words are used in different senses. How? Good is an adjective and well is an adverb. So once if we use them according to the requirement of the sentence, we should use it. If we are using well, even if we need an adjective to be used, then that is a wrong use. Such as we can see the example also, that I am doing good in maths. Now doing good here is it is used in the form of adverb, although good is a adjective. So if we are in need of an adverb, we should use well. So doing well here is used as adverb. So if we want to specify an adverb, then we will use well. In the same sense, if we want to specify adjective, then we will use good. So these are the mistakes, these are the errors we usually commit once if we are not aware whether it is an adjective, whether it is an adverb, or what is the demand of the sentence. The sentence is demanding an adverb and still we are using an adjective. That means we are not well aware of what are adjectives, what are adverbs, and in place of that we are using them and we are committing an error that is to be avoided. After that, unnecessary comma is also significant error that is usually committed by all of us. In interrupting phrase, it is generally used set off by comma and comes between the subject and the verb. How? You can see an example also. It will definitely be clear with you all. Once if you'll observe the example minutely, Albert as well as his friends. So this is an extra part. This is a phrase. So we have used this, yeah, putting a comma before that. So after subject and before verb, we are using loves cookies. Albert loves cookies as well as his friend is an unnecessary part. It is a phrase. So we are using a comma after that. So but why are we using? Whether the comma is unnecessary or necessary, that we need to keep in mind. So first of all, we should know where are the commas suitable and where should we use them. They are really essential to clarify and give the reader a chance to take a little pause in a sentence once if they are reading extensive, long, big sentences. It's possible to use comma when you don't need them. And unnecessary commas can always create confusion among readers because they won't be able to understand what is the use of comma, why did we take pause, and whether we should use it or whether we should avoid it. Once if it is not clear within your mind, you're not going to avoid these sort of errors. So once if you use a comma, think about why are you using it. If you are using, whether it is essential or not, reread it and find the requirement of the comma and then only move ahead. Once if you'll observe the example, you'll definitely identify what is the error that we are generally committing by using unnecessary commas. She had a stomach ache. After that, we are using a comma because she ate too much ice cream. Now, there is no requirement of using a comma before conjunction word here. So, she had a stomach ache because the reason is already provided to you. She ate too much ice cream. So sometimes unnecessary commas can be avoided just by thinking, just by minutely observing the real requirements of comma that if once we know. Mixing up similar words is also an error that we may avoid once if we are aware. Although there is no point in mixing two words, whether they may be similar in terms of spellings, in terms of pronunciation, or any other thing. As spellings, as much as an error in the choice of word, once if you are not aware about the exact meaning of that particular word. There are many words that sound similar, but they always have a different meaning. And sometimes if we are well aware about homophones and homonyms, we may see that even certain words do have same spellings, same pronunciation, still they do not match as far as their meaning is concerned. So you can see we generally commit the error, or we do not have a clear idea of affect, effect, accept, accept, and comprise, compose, further versus father. And in this way, you may see that you may be committing different types of errors that are created by mixing up similar words. The rain had a good effect on the farmer's field. The rain had a good effect on the farmer's field. So it is necessary to identify the requirement of the sentence. If the sentence requires a noun, adjective, adverb, or any other requirement of the noun, accordingly you should use the word. So once if the spelling is changed, once if the word is changed, obviously automatically it gives you different meaning. Mixing up spellings is also another sort of error that usually is committed by the users. Not sure if this affects me or affects me. So as in the previous slide also we had discussed, what is the use of effect, affect. So it is necessary first of all to know the parts of speeches. What is an adverb? What is adjective? What is noun? What is pronoun? And what is verb? Accordingly, once we are aware, we will definitely be not committing any error that is associated with parts of speech. So effect, affect, these are the two different, although they may sound same, but they have a different spelling and different meanings also. So if you mix up them, it can create embarrassing mistake that you may have committed because of not being aware of the real meaning of that particular word. So although these words are commonly confused, yet once if you dive deep into dissecting into the meanings and the origin of these words, you'll definitely never commit these sorts of errors. Once let's see the example which is incorrect. Their father went to school there. Now, which there we are to use here? T-H-E-I-R, there, here is a pronoun and it is generally used by, it is used before the, we are using it along with noun. So went to school there, it is used for a place, T-H-E-R-E, and T-H-E-I-R is used for a person. So once if we are aware of these sort of situations, then we may definitely understand what sort of error we may have committed and what could we have avoided, so that we may be in the safer zone and we could not commit any sort of errors, although we may have committed, just because we are not aware about these important and basic rules of grammar. Mixing up adverbs and adjectives is also another type of error that we are usually committing. You can see here the picture where green is adjective and another word is adverb. So you can see, if you are aware what is adjective, what is adverb, that we may be discussing, I hope, in the upcoming video, where you may understand that what is an adjective, what is an adverb, what are the other parts of speeches. Once if you are aware of all these things, you'll definitely find that now you can identify this is the error which is created because we are not aware of the adjective, because we are not aware of the adverb. Then we may definitely even identify the type of error that we may have committed, and how can we replace, how can we eradicate that sort of error by avoiding what sort of mistakes. So in the upcoming session, we may be discussing about these parts of speech in a different way, so that at least we may be aware that what sort of errors we are generally committing. Once we are not aware about the basic fundamentals that are known as, there are 8 parts of speeches, and if we are not aware about all these things, then we may definitely commit errors. And once if you are not committing any errors, then even then we may not be able to identify any type of error that may have appeared in front of us to correct. So you can see, generally adverbs and adjectives are misplaced by the people, and embarrassing situations are created by using these sorts of errors. So once we should observe the example in correct word. So if you will use this sort of example, you will see that Suzanne gave me a real nice bouquet of flowers. Suzanne gave me a really nice bouquet of flowers. So in place of real and really, once if you are not aware about what is adverb and what is adverb, then you may definitely commit these sorts of errors. So it is basically essential to identify what is an adjective, what is an adverb, and what is the requirement of the sentence. If the sentence is requiring an adverb, you will definitely use adverb. If a sentence is requiring an adjective, then please use adjectives in place of adverb. Another type of error is generally committed by title capitalization problem. Sometimes we capitalize any word as per our own design, as per our own wish, and sometimes we just want to create or we just want to innovate something new, some different fonts, and in that case we may generally commit the errors, grammatical errors, and sometimes we capitalize some words you may see here, and sometimes we will capitalize the first letters. Whether they are to be capitalized or not, that is not a problem that we may understand, but we are just using those words, just they are looking nice. If we are preparing any presentation, if we are making any hoarding, if we are announcing any statement, any rule, any regulation, in that case, in order to highlight certain points, we generally capitalize a word. Whether it is necessary or not, it is, we are not aware even. Still, we commit these sort of errors, and these errors are usually committed, and you may observe them in front of big offices and the big businesses. You'll see that these sort of errors are placed on the public places, and they create a wrong, they convey a wrong message on the part of that particular company if they are committing this sort of errors. So you should always be aware which word is to be capitalized and why are you capitalizing any word, and just in order to create a pleasure, if you are capitalizing a word, that is to be avoided. Let's see one example. Around the world in 80 days. So you can see here that around the world in 80 days. So even in the upper portion, you'll see quiet place. The Q is capital, P is capital. Even I may have infused many other pictures as well. They were really conveying the message that I would like to convey to you all, that sometimes the title capitalization rules are not usually followed and people capitalize it. Sometimes they will capitalize all the letters. Sometimes they will write Q, U, I, E, T, all the letters capital. And sometimes they will write Q, U, I, others, O capital, A small, and W capital. So as per their own wish, if by any chance they are capitalizing, then it is really a problem. You need to know what is title capitalization, which word is to be capitalized, and you should always be aware that whether you are capitalizing the first and the last letter, you are omitting certain middle letters, all nouns and pronouns, all verbs and all adjectives and adverbs. What are you doing in that case? You need to be very much specific that you are capitalizing a title of something, and it depends upon what strategy you are following in case you are capitalizing any word. Which style you are taking, that is to be taken care of. One more confusion is created between fewer and less, that also you may have seen. You may not be aware whether there is any difference of meaning, definition and usage between these two words. So there is a great and huge difference that you may see here, that less is generally used in case of uncountable noun and fewer is used when you are using countable nouns. When you can count nouns, at the time you will use fewer. Then you cannot count them. They are not in the condition of counting. In that case, you will use less. So less means not as much and fewer means not as many. As you know, many is used before countable nouns and much is used before uncountable nouns. So these are the things that you need to take care. These are the basic information and you should be very much clear while you are using less, fewer, as we had already discussed about good, well, and many other words that we may have used in our previous sessions, that if we are aware about these sort of confusions that may have been created because of the lack of knowledge about these words and their usage, their definitions, then we may generally commit these sorts of errors. One example, let's see, which will clear out each and everything. The store was almost out of dog food. There were less cans on the shelves than there were yesterday. Now, we cannot count cans or candy. If we can count them, then we will use fewer in place of less that we have wrongly used over there. The store was almost out of dog food. There were fewer cans on the shelves than there were yesterday. So you can see very much easily we can sort out the errors that we may be committing each day in our life, and we may avoid these common grammatical mistakes that we may be committing, and in this way we can come up to the correct usage, and even we may be aware about the several usage of the grammatical rules, that accordingly we can avoid these sort of common errors that we may be committing. Along with that, we may also know the rules and regulations that are also necessary. Once if we are aware of the rules, once we are aware of the basic knowledge, only then we can avoid them. Otherwise, we may not be able to identify them and even eradicate them. So it is necessary. In the upcoming session, we may be discussing some more grammatical errors and some more techniques. How can we use them correctly?